1. This happened a good decade ago now, when I was about 20. But you know how some memories stand out so vividly? This is definitely one of those. I was a newly graduated veterinary nurse working in a busy little small animal clinic based in a well-known horse racing town. On that particular day, we'd had a high volume of surgeries, and I just spent a good 6 hours solid doing anesthetics, hunched up and concentrating hard, and was also very ready to stretch my legs and eat an overdue lunch. We finally wrap up the last surgery. All went well. No animals were harmed in the making of this story. I am very ready to devour calories. Now, usually whenever I left the clinic, I would change my nurse's tunic for something more casual. But as we'd been busy and I was 2 hours past my usual lunchtime, I didn't bother to change, and in fact hadn't even de-accessorized. So I had a full bottle green tunic and trousers, fob watch, name badge with job title, and to top it all off, a stethoscope around my neck. Full-on knackered nurse chic. I was in a rush to get my coveted sandwich, dammit. Point is, everything about my look screamed medical worker. I decided to pop into the local Marks & Spencer's and get a nice sandwich. Anyone from outside the UK, M&S is a department store that is fairly fancy. Not super duper posh, but not exactly an everyday shop either. This branch was a clothes store up front with a food section at the back. Getting lunch from here was a special treat. So I get to M&S, have picked myself a drool-worthy sandwich, ham hock and chutney, yum, and have decided, hell with it, I'ma get me a dessert too. In for a penny, in for a pound. I trotted to the fresh cake section and am salivating over cheesecakes and macaroons when along comes Karen. I know that's a cliche at this point, but seriously, this woman was the most caring Karen to ever Karen. From the I need to speak to your manager haircut, to the Audi car keys on Kath Kidson keyring, clutched in her bejeweled claws. Karen stops right next to me, stares at me with eyebrows raised, then sort of huffs and sighs through flared nostrils in my direction. I assume she wants something I'm standing in front of, so I shuffle along a bit and keep contemplating cakes. Cake. Don't you dare walk away from me. Pardon? Where are the stir-fry sauces? She clicks her fingers right up near my face as she says this. Stir. Fry. Sauces. At this point, I didn't twig she thought I worked there, as I'm wearing my name badge with vet clinic on it and knew I was representing my workplace, so I try to be polite rather than just scoff in her rude face. Mistake? Oh, I have no idea, maybe on the end of the veg aisle? Like with the packaged salads and stuff? What do you mean you have no idea? This is ridiculous. You should know what all products are. How can you be so rude and stupid? The irony. Confused still, hungry, just want to eat my damn lunch. I don't know where your sauces are. I don't come in here much, excuse me. I start walking away. Karen puts her arm out, blocking my escape. I can't believe this, you rude child. They will hire anyone these days. This shop is supposed to have standards. I don't care if this isn't your department. You should know this. Shop layout is basic knowledge. Did you even learn during training? Who's your manager? Bewildered, still hungry, and really struggling to connect that she actually thinks I work there. I don't work here? Gesturing with sandwich at uniform. Cue even higher level screeching. Dogs back at the clinic likely start howling in response. Her face is alarmingly red. Don't get cocky with me. Tell me where the stir-fry sauces are right now. You are going to be in so much trouble, young lady, you might even be fired for your cheek. Hellfreezer's note, from personal experience and having actually been told by employers, it is really hard to fire an employee in the UK. I'm so done at this point, stomach growling, sandwich calling. I don't work here. I'm a veterinary nurse. I'm buying my lunch here. Please move. Gears are turning as her eyes roam the nursey evidence. I should have known you from that horse clinic. Not the vets I actually work at. They always have silly little girls working there. Look at all the horsehair you're sprinkling around the place. They shouldn't have let you in. It's not sanitary. I'm telling the manager you'll be banned. FYI, my tunic was spotless as I'd been wearing scrubs over it all day. But sure. Okay, Karen. Thank the lunch gods, Karen decided to then storm off. I assumed to find a manager to scream at for a few hours. I grabbed a custard tart, double pack, and you're damn right I ate them both, and purchased my lunch. I never saw Karen again. So for all I know, she's still there, shouting about rude stable girls who don't know where stir-fry sauces are. The sandwich was delightful. 2. So yesterday at work it got pretty busy. I'm only part-time, so I was only there for 5 hours, but I still have a 10-minute break, no matter how busy it is. I'll stay to help get the line down if there is one, but once I clock out for my break, there's nothing I can do until it's over. It gets to be about an hour and a half before I go home. My manager, who was my backup cashier, and I both had a line, but she told me to cut my light, finish the line I had, and take my break. Now, we have to clock out for our breaks, and to do that we just put in our user ID, password, hit tab 5 times and enter. It's just to make sure we're actually taking our breaks. We do get paid for them. Takes 10, maybe 15 seconds to do so. I finish the last customer in line and clock out. As soon as I hit enter, this dude rushes up to my register, throws his basket down and starts to unload it. I say, "I'm sorry, sir, but I just clocked out for my break. I can't help you." He gets all upset and throws his hands up saying, "Come on, man, I just got over here and she's helping someone with balloons, but you're just gonna turn me away like that?" I apologize, and he walks away. I thought maybe he was just having a bad day. I go to the restroom, come back, and she's got quite the line. I felt bad about that, but what could I do? I was still on a break. I jokingly ask where all these people come from, and that same dude shouts, "They came from you being on break." I laughed it off, which admittedly may have just pissed him off even more. Went to the office right behind the registers and sat down, because I'd been on my feet 3.5 hours by then. We'd been busy AF. I wasn't feeling well, and I had little sleep the night before. Then I hear, "Where's your manager?" Lo and behold, it's that same guy. He then goes on to complain to my manager and say I'm unprofessional for turning him away and not checking him out. He then said, "And how do you feel with her sticking you with this line?" Like, first of all, sir, it was slow-ish when I went on break. Secondly, I can't control how busy the store gets when I go on said break. He just kept going on and on about how unprofessional I was. The whole situation was just absurd. Because, let's be real, this guy was complaining to my manager and calling me unprofessional because I wouldn't bend the rules and ring him up while off the clock. How dare I make him wait in line like literally everyone else in the store has to do. The best part, when my break was over, like 2, maybe 4 minutes after he left, remember my break was 10 minutes. When I went out there to continue my job, I got some customers though that had seen the whole thing. What did they have to say about it? Don't let jerks like that get you down. He made a fool of himself by complaining, because everyone else knew my register was closed. My light was off and none of the other customers had tried to come to my register, and had heard my manager tell me to take my break. When he came to my register, he lost his place in line. Remember when I said my break was over like 2 to 4 minutes after he left? Yeah, he would have been out of there much quicker had he just been patient and waited in line like literally everyone else in the store had to do. I didn't get in trouble because, why would I? I did nothing wrong. My manager just told me to not let people like that get to me, which is sometimes easier said than done, but in this situation, given how odd it was, I found it pretty easy to just laugh it off. That's the first genuinely rude customer I've dealt with. The first complaint I've had, and of course it was on Black Friday. 3. Some time ago I worked for a third-party company that works in Walmart. My job was to sell and activate prepaid cell phones that were a part of specific brands, and those brands only. I worked inside Walmart, but not for Walmart. I couldn't run a cash register, unlock items, or even stand behind the counter. It was also forbidden for me to recommend or activate other brands of phones to people. One day, a couple came in and were looking for the Boost Mobile section. Me, not being a pushy salesperson, showed them where the display was, and walked away so it wouldn't look like I was discussing other brands, just in case my boss came in. A few minutes later, the couple walked over to me to recommend them a phone, and I directed them to a Walmart employee explaining that I don't work with the Boost phones. The couple decided on a Boost phone to purchase, and while the Walmart associate unlocked it from the cage, they approached me and asked me to activate the phone for them. I told them the procedure to activate it is very simple, that it is just a phone call to customer service or a trip to the bus store. However, I'm personally not allowed to activate bus phones. They started to get upset with me. I tried to level with them and explain that I can only activate XYZ brands, and that if my boss caught me activating a different brand phone, I would be fired. At this point, both the husband and wife are yelling at me. The wife is yelling at me that they've had phones activated here before, and that I'm just denying her service for no reason. The husband is demanding that I help them because I am a Walmart employee. I was still calm, but explained that I wasn't a Walmart employee. The wife then demanded that I get her a Walmart employee to activate her phone for her. Me having worked this job, I know just how much I hated getting volunteered to do things without prior knowledge. Therefore, I didn't want to volunteer a Walmart employee in case they were busy, or if they just didn't know how to do it. Also, activations were not mandatory, they were privileges. I told the woman she would have to ask the associate for help when he came back with her phone. I could not ask for her. The wife screamed for me to call or phone for a manager. I told her I don't know how, as I don't know what the number is, or how to use the store phone. She screamed for me to go find a manager. I gladly walked away, all the way to the break room for the rest of my shift, which was luckily almost over. Apparently, the husband chased down another associate asking for a manager, and followed him back to where only associates are allowed, saying that he wanted to make sure I didn't lie to him and his wife. When a manager finally came, she explained that a Walmart associate would activate the phone for them, but that I couldn't because it was against my company policy. The couple had argued with the manager about me and how rude I was for about 30 minutes. The couple never bought the phone. No manager ever said anything to me about that incident. 4. I work in a large clothing store in the mall. We use gift cards, both as gift cards and as a voucher, if that's the correct word, if you return an item. We have two types, both cardboard. One is pretty large with gift card printed in big letters at the top. The other is about the same size but with an area you can push out, so it's the size of a credit card, with all the information written on it, also with the gift card title printed on it, albeit not as large. When we sell a gift card or give out a voucher, we have to have 2 employees sign it. We print the information on it with a noisy-ass printer, we stamp it with our store stamp, and if it's a voucher, we staple the receipt to the gift card as well. Now, I've worked in this store since it opened almost 4 years ago, and never had a problem with this until this lady came to my register. I was shift manager when this happened, working the register. Lady walks up to me with a sweater, and when she's about to pay, she puts a receipt on the counter and says she's paying with a voucher. Did you bring the voucher?
It's right there.
Points to the receipt. I look at the receipt and see she returned an item worth about $14. I'm sorry, but this is just a receipt showing you received a voucher. I need the actual voucher to be able to register it.
I was never informed that this wasn't the voucher. If you're talking about the cardboard that came with it, I threw it away. It was way too big. And in every other store, the receipt is the voucher. The cardboard is usually just a container.
I'm really sorry, but it clearly states on the cardboard that it's a gift card. There's a barcode I need to scan, and it was also signed by 2 employees, printed information on it, and stamped by us. I show her how our gift cards look. I'm sorry if you misunderstood, but unfortunately, I cannot do anything with just the receipt, as the voucher needs to be sent into corporate when it's used. Lady argues a bit more, gets pissy, and eventually leaves without buying the new item. I thought it was over, but I was wrong. The next morning, I'm working with our store manager and tell her about everything that went down, as we love laughing at stupid customers getting pissed over something that's their own fault. Not even 30 minutes later, she gets a call from our area manager. She received an email from the angry customer, claiming I refused to let her use her gift card because she tossed the cardboard surrounding it. Now, our area manager is really sweet, and she even trained me before I started. So when my boss started explaining my side of the story, she realized the lady was full of bull. Area manager had thought we refused to accept the second type of gift card where you could remove the surrounding cardboard and keep the credit card-sized cardboard with information on it. Upon learning that the lady didn't in fact bring any gift card, only a receipt, she forwarded the email to my store manager to let her reply. And I tell you, it was a magnificent reply. I don't remember it word for word, but she basically spoon-fed her the same information I gave her, about how obvious it is that the cardboard is the voucher. and that it's sad to hear that she managed to throw away $14 clearly marked gift card. Everyone working that day heard the story and ran to the office to read the emails. And after this, we clearly state to customers that the gift card marked gift card is indeed the gift card. 5. I work on the West Coast running my own business as a cybersecurity consultant. I'm 35 and have been in this business a very long time. I have around 10 employees. However, the one we just hired is a special case. Very special. She is one of the dumbest smart people I know, and her attitude says she graduated with honors from an Ivy League school. And that means she owns you. Since I'm the owner of the business, I leave most duties to my senior security engineers, so she has probably only seen me a few times in the 3 months she's worked for me. I was out shopping for supplies in the office, and I decided I was going to stop by my local Sam's Club for some lunch. I used to work there when I was in my early 20s, and I was friends with the now manager of the specific store while we were cashiers together. It's worth mentioning that since I was heading to the office after this, I was dressed in my formal business attire. I promise it comes into play later. The Sam's Club Cafe has some of the best food in my opinion for the price that they offer. I finish my food and have a chat with MF. MF leaves to go do manager things, and I go to throw away my paper plate that was provided to me for my pizza, when I start hearing screaming coming from the cafe counter, which isn't even 10 feet away. I look over to see what is happening.
What do you mean you're out of frozen yogurt? Do you idiots ever keep anything stocked?
This was a common thing to happen in the summertime since everyone loves their frozen yogurt. Karen looks at me and rushes over.
Manager, you are going to do something about this. I want that cunt bitch fired right this instant. He was rude and called me a bitch for asking for frozen yogurt.
She cut me off before I could continue. But it was then I started to realize she looked familiar.
I don't care. You will fire this little pussy-ass brat right now, or I am contacting corporate over this.
After that it clicked. She's my employee. I can't do anything for you because I don't work here. I thought about telling her, but I wanted to see where this goes. Karen jabs a finger into my chest as hard as she can and twists it.
Listen, you...
And then she used a word that civilized people only use when talking about fire extinguishers.
I don't know who you think I am, but I'm leagues smarter than you. The only reason you work here is because you're a reject who couldn't finish college.
I almost busted out laughing after that comment, but I composed myself. At this point, the actual manager, MF, comes running over and asks what's wrong. Before I could explain, Karen steps in.
He, pointing at me, assaulted me and verbally abused me while refusing to fire this employee.
The girl behind the cafe counter, who at this point looked visibly horrified.
And as his boss, you better fire him right this instant. If you don't, I'll have all of your jobs, you insignificant clowns.
Yes, she really said that. She called us clowns. How ironic. I'm pretty much fed up now, so I revealed my identity. Karen, I'm the owner of the company you work for. We just hired you a couple months ago, right? I showed her my badge with title name and picture on it. Her face turned whiter than snow. MF chimes in. I saw her jabbing a finger into you. The cops are already on their way. I didn't think it was possible, but her face turned even whiter than it was before. She looked like she was about to hurl. Anyway, the cops showed up, took a look at the security footage, and without even asking me anything, they handcuff her and take her away. They talked to me and asked me if I wanted to press charges, and I said yes, court date pending, and later found out from MF that she yanked the cafe girl by the collar, slapped her, and pushed her back before I had seen her yelling. I asked the cops if I could have a word with her before they drove her away since she's my employee. They said yes, and I walked up to her, sitting in the cop car, hands cuffed behind her back. She is about to speak, but I held my finger up in front of her face. For someone who graduated with honors at an Ivy League school, you're pretty dumb. I was never impressed with your work, and now that you're here, I doubt you'll ever get a job in the security field again. Don't bother showing up for work anymore. I had to add that last part because I knew she'd be out on bail. Her husband is pretty wealthy too. Never thought I'd run into a Karen that actually worked for me. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Adventures in Fast Food and Retail, number 75. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. Okay. Can attest in regards to story number 1 there. Marks & Spencer's, M&S, is quite a popular chain of stores in the UK, and while they are a bit on the expensive side, the food is generally quite nice. Can recommend the caramel shortcake. Oh, and they do these awesome things. They call them yum yums, but it's like the shape of a donut. And it's filled with jam or jelly for our American friends, with a nice icing glaze over the top of it. And I'm going to stop talking about them because I'm making myself hungry, and I need to. I'm trying to stop myself eating too much junk when I'm doing these marathon recording sessions. It's easy to rely on junk food and cakes and energy drinks and things to try and get through it. It's tasty but a bad habit. Okay. And with that, I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.